Chazal says that tshuva, tefillah, v'tzedakah ma'avirim et ro'a ha'gzera. When there's a decree from Shamayim, that's a heavy decree, that's a terrible decree, three things can change and turn tides. Turn the suffering into something completely different. Doing tshuva, praying, and giving tzedakah. Now, doing tshuva we've talked about several times throughout the last few days. As I told you, Pirkei Avot in the Mishnah that was written well before the Gemara, somewhere around 2,500 years ago, tells us that the reward we get in this world is for our effort, our genuine effort, not necessarily for our execution. Because even though we have 613 biblical mitzvot, another 7 rabbinical mitzvot, no one person can fulfill all 620, not because it's okay to fail, but rather because it's not for any one person. Not everyone is a Kohen, not everyone is a woman, not everyone is in Israel. You have somewhere around a third of them is what we're actually responsible for. But most people don't even know 50 by heart. If you ask most people, even if they're religious from birth, you ask them, name 100 mitzvot by heart. Out of the 613, a lot of people won't know it by heart. If you tell them, do you remember this one? They'll probably say yes. But knowing it by heart is a different story. So, how do we do it? How do we fulfill it if we don't even know them? The key is to learn. But the second part is to make sure that we are considering the fact that Hashem is watching at all times, and we are being genuine with our tshuva, we are being 100% real with ourselves and not lying to ourselves and thinking that we're fooling Hashem in the process of whether our next action and our next step is a mitzvah or it's a avirah. When you're stealing, you know you're stealing. When you're cheating, you know you're cheating. No woman that walks around with a mini skirt or a tight dress thinks that she's modest, even if she says she is. You know you're not. Why? Because you know what modesty looks like. It's not defined by a dress that's the second layer of skin. Same thing with someone that's not honest. He knows he's not being honest. Even if he's lying to himself and convincing himself that he's a tzaddik, he acts inside, he knows he's not honest. So you have to be real with yourself. Why? Because when you get up to Shamayim, you can't lie to them. And you definitely can't lie to Hashem. This is why our effort, our genuine effort, is what counts. Hashem knows what you can and you can't do, and what level you stand. He knows that at this point you just started doing tshuva. For Him to expect you to learn 12 hours a day is just not realistic. He created you, He knows you. But He knows you could learn an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. And if you spend that hour and a half watching a baseball game, you'll get punished for it. Why? Because you could have learned for an hour and a half, and eventually got to 12 hours. Eventually got to 2 hours even. You missed out on a reward, you missed out on an opportunity, and you missed your purpose in life. For that hour and a half, you watched baseball or football or some other stupid sport of people throwing a ball, and get paid $25 million a year to do that, and everyone talking about how much money they make for some reason. So we know that tshuva, first step, has to be serious. It's time to wake up. Tefillah, you know if you're praying or you're just here to socialize. You come to Beit Knesset, if you're looking at a magazine during the tefillah, you're not praying. You're looking at a magazine. If you come to Beit Knesset and you know everybody's name by heart and you know what everybody does for a living and how much he makes, you didn't come here to pray, you came here to socialize. If you don't even notice who's sitting next to you for the last 3 months, there's a possibility that you are praying. Because the only thing that matters in the Beit Knesset is Hashem. That's it. The only thing that matters. If you came to pray to Hashem, Chazaku Baruch, you fulfilled the second part. That's tefillah. If at some point the mom cries over her children and asks Hashem for mercy to help her kids do tshuva, Now you're praying, Mom. But if you're encouraging your kid to go to a vacation on Cancun because he needs a good time because his girlfriend just broke up with him, you're not being a good mother. That's not praying. There's many parents that are doing that. Say, no, she just broke his heart. Go, Habibi, go to Cancun and find 3 girlfriends this weekend. Go. You need it for relaxation. The psychiatrist who paid $400 an hour told us so. The same one that tells people that they could have 2 wives and 3 wives at the same time. So we know the second part. Tefillah has to be serious. It's time for us to pray. Women, you have a much easier time to cry. Use that talent. Use it. It's a privilege. It's the only gate in heaven that doesn't close. The tears of a mother. You have children that are going through struggles. You have a husband that doesn't know why he's alive. You have relatives that have no clue what's the purpose. You love Am Yisrael, start crying. Cry to Hashem, because that's the only thing that's going to save us at the end of times. It's what saved us in Egypt. It's what's going to save us before the Mashiach comes. Your tears. If you don't use that talent, you're wasting it. Give it to me, please.
When should we cry? When we pray or just any time of the day?
No, obviously we cry with a purpose. Don't just cry complaining to Hashem, how come I don't have $1 million today?
Anya, and then you will cry.
But cry for a real reason. Cry for Am Yisrael. Cry for your children to become tzaddikim. Cry for your husband to become a Talmid Chacham. Cry for a purpose. Cry for people to do tshuva. Cry for you to do tshuva. Cry to connect to Hashem. I can't tell this to men because it's not cool to cry. So we know what tefillah is. Let's start using it. Step 2. These are obviously a brief description of each step. If we cover the details of each one, we'll be here till next week, and my flight's tomorrow morning. The next place is the one that I want to spend the rest of the shiur talking about, and that's tzedakah. Not because I'm looking for tzedakah. If anyone wants to give, they're more than welcome to, but that's not the reason I'm mentioning it. The reason I'm mentioning it is because that's what we started the shiur with, and that's the very same reason we've gone into trouble for the last 3,300 plus years. Money. Money is this generation's version of Avodah Zarah. Tzedakah is like a bad word in Hebrew. People think that if they give $1 to the homeless guy, they're tzaddikim. The fact that they have $1.5 million house and a portfolio that's worth more money than they need, they don't consider that to be inappropriate. It's okay to have nice things, but it's not okay to have these nice things while the people around you that are actually trying to serve Hashem, the people around you that are struggling to have food, to feed their kids, have no other place other than you.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.